all over the headlines. The sodium batteries are due here later this year, and they are revolutionary. But haven't we heard all that before? Is this any different? It seems every single technological breakthrough in the EV world is immediately heralded by the media or the public as revolutionary. And sadly, or luckily, most of them are right. See, nobody invents a brand new anything if there's no market for it. So the issue here is, what does it mean to you? And should you wait? So this is Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave. I'm going to answer that very question for you in this video. Now, the heart of any EV is the battery. Some say it's the software, but I see the software more as the brain. I see the electric motors as the muscle. The battery is the heart. Well, the battery pack consists of thousands of individual cells, and there are two major improvements here. First, the battery pack is getting better. They can now pack in far more cells for a given size, meaning greater energy density. That means longer range, better performance. Second, the cells themselves are getting much better. Again, packing in more power, meaning higher energy density in the same space. This all gives you more performance, more range. Now, it all started a while ago with the humble laptop, mobility scooter or power tool with a rechargeable battery cell. When EVs first took off over a decade ago, there were two different chemistries on offer. There were low energy density cells, but remarkably safe and stable. And there were high energy density cells that were ferociously powerful, but far less stable and less safe. Guess which the new EV industry chose? Well, it was the most powerful and energy-dense batteries they could find, and they are NMC, stands for nickel, manganese, cobalt. These three elements ensured the maximum power output and charging speed and made the EV an instant hit amongst those that liked performance. They were fast. A 0 to 60 time back 10 years ago, less than 10 seconds in an old Nissan Leaf, compared to the likes of, Toyota Aygo, 14 seconds. Over 15 seconds for a basic Vauxhall Corsa and a Ford Fiesta. But when you pack that much power into a small space, you need to know exactly what you're doing. Not everyone did back then, particularly not LG Power, which made many of the EV batteries. They got it wrong. They developed a special chemical, and it was a component in many of their batteries that seemed to be perfect. And indeed, it really was perfect if installed in a laptop, which was only ever trickle charged. When installed in an EV, it was expected to deliver that acceleration in a very short period of time and to recharge it very, very, very much faster than a trickle for a laptop. Now, there was outroar, many demanded EVs be stopped, banned even, but that problem was solved pretty instantly by just not using that chemical anymore. In all the UK, going back 2023, Greater London saw 493 petrol car fires, 138 diesel car fires and 7 EVs. And the big Luton Airport car park fire that hit the headlines was caused by a diesel car. But the media went mad and some people got worried. Manufacturers that had always used the batteries without that chemical got caught up in the whirlwind that followed, and so the battery manufacturers went back and looked at the original chemistries. They're using all they had learned from NMC batteries. In the meanwhile, they discovered they could boost the output of those much safer batteries to an acceptable level for use in EVs. Tesla, for example, was an early leader, and their massively successful Model 3 was among the first to use them. The basic rear-wheel drive LFP gets to 60 miles an hour in about 6.2 seconds, covers 322 miles, while the NMC rear-wheel drive twin has a slightly larger battery but gets to 60 much quicker, 4.9 seconds, goes on to cover an amazing 466 miles. NMC packs in more power and lets it out quicker. But LFP, now that's lithium, iron or ferro, that's the F, phosphate, is pretty good and very much safer. And in fact, they are almost impossible to ignite. And one of the tests, now compulsory in China, where most of these are made, is to puncture them, boil them, run over them with a steamroller, and they must remain safe and not catch fire. And they do. So they got a reputation of being incredibly safe and non-flammable. It also turned out that the expensive bits in the battery were those mainly nickel, cobalt and manganese elements, so the LFP were much cheaper to make. And that dropped the price of the overall EV as the battery was the largest and most expensive bit. But while they were now clearly better for EV drivers, many traditional car makers like Ford, Vauxhall, BMW, Mercedes, Fiat, Renault, they'd already placed very large long-term orders with battery suppliers for the NMC, so they got the very cheapest prices. They couldn't switch so easily, breach a contract and all that, leaving Tesla and China now able to undercut the rest of the world. But all was not well because both NMC and LFP saw a significant variation in performance, a drop in performance in range and range in the very cold weather, and a rise of both in the summer. For many, this was just totally irrelevant. They charged their EVs each night and only drove about 50 miles a day. They were absolutely entirely unaffected. But for company car drivers and taxis, it actually was, for some of them, a worry. Now, once again, a search was undertaken to solve this issue, and they found sodium. Now, remove the refined lithium that came mostly from China, remove the cobalt, came from DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, with child slave labour, and the other bits and pieces, and you get clean, green, environmentally responsible batteries for the EV that ran at about 90% efficient in seriously cold temperatures. Out of interest, how many viewers actually know what chemistry their batteries are? It's just a thought. Many don't. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, sodium now was the answer to the EV industry because the battery was basically made from sea salt. And it was massively abundant and really incredibly cheap. But it had two problems. It was not yet in mass production because the demand had not really started, meaning it was, for now, much dearer, and it had an even lower energy density than LFP. Well, the battery manufacturers tagged this for static energy storage, BESS, the battery energy storage systems, those huge grid-connected batteries that soaked up the excess electricity in the grid. But the EV industry thought it would go really well in their budget models. Would anyone care if it was a bit slow and had a slightly shorter range if it was really, really cheap? And they went and decided for us. It wouldn't make a lot of difference if they were cheap enough. Now, we've yet to see if they're right because there are almost no sodium-ion battery-powered EVs running around the streets of UK, Europe, or even the US of A. While they've been really popular over in China, as over there they tend to favour those little noddy cars, they only arrive in the UK this year, Europe later this year, early next, and Chang'an in the UK seems likely to be the first manufacturer. Okay, you now know all you need to know about batteries when you choose your first or next EV, but let me help you if you're still uncertain. Who is the ideal customer for a sodium-ion powered battery EV? Well, it's someone who lives in a very, very, very cold climate, Alaska, northern Canada, Siberia, Norway, has home charging, does about an average miles, and doesn't care about fast acceleration. There you go. Nice and simple. And that pretty much excludes and eliminates the entire UK population. England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. We don't yet get those really bitterly life-threatening cold winters. Yeah, okay, maybe once every 2 or 5 years we get a beast from the east and very low temperatures, but it's usually gone in a day and it reverts to just an average winter temperature hovering just above freezing. Now, just like you wouldn't go out and buy a 14-seater minibus for your normal family car just because once every couple of years you need to pack the entire extended family into one car for a day trip, so nobody would choose a sodium-ion battery for that once every few years when for a single day temperatures crash. Now, Norway has proved this perfectly well. So they do not yet have sodium-ion batteries over there. They're all NMC or LFP, and they cope perfectly well in incredibly cold winters. Now, I have to say, all that might change. See, while our UK temperatures are generally at the moment spiralling out of control upwards, somebody has predicted that this could be causing the Gulf Stream to slow down, which it really is. And if it stops, we in the UK will get those seriously low temperatures like -20 and below that other countries on exactly the same latitude regularly experience: Canada, Russia, Siberia, Alaska. But hopefully it's not likely to happen this winter, or probably not next winter either. And by the way, before all you doubters and cynics get commenting, let me answer you right now, because I know exactly what you're going to be posting. My simple answer is, and always will be, Norway has worse winters than us, and 99% of their population buying new cars choose EVs. But who could benefit from sodium-ion batteries in the UK today? Well, if sodium-ion batteries do catch on and enter mass production, which they probably will, it won't be this year, then they could become incredibly cheap, meaning the EVs using them will be very much cheaper. So in that case, if and when that happens, anyone in the UK looking for a really cheap brand new EV who can charge at home and only commute short distances and doesn't fancy accelerating very fast, they should look at them as a genuine alternative to LFP and NMC. Well, this should not be a safety decision like catching fire, because the famous BYD Blade battery is today classed as the safest battery in the entire world. That's LFP chemistry. So forget your fire worries. The industry has long since passed that era. Unlike petrol and diesel cars, I see today in the news over 1 million cars are being recalled as they might and can spontaneously catch fire, even if you're not driving it and it is safely parked in your garage. That recall includes Peugeot, Citroën, Vauxhall, Hyundai, Kia, BMW and Jeep. Who would have thought it? Park your petrol car in your garage and it might catch fire, burn your house down and kill all that are in it sleeping. Yeah. You in the UK, up to 100,000 of those at-risk cars are in the UK, subject to that recall. Please check if it affects you, because it's much better safe than sorry. Better still, just get an EV. Sodium-ion batteries for us are going to be best used in the home batteries, where once again they pose no fire risk, operate all year round at optimum efficiency, and will be so much cheaper than LFP or NMC, yet do the job perfectly well. You could well be able to afford a much larger battery within your same budget. Watch out for those later this year too. But at the end of the day, it gets dark. Also, if the EV you want and can afford is offered with the right finance deal, then choose it on its merits and forget the battery chemistry, unless you're a boy racer at heart. See, I'm well into my 70s, yet I still get immense pleasure and excitement just once in a while when my wife's not in the car, in just flooring the throttle, experiencing that exotic supercar outright performance. In fact, I did it once with my grandkids, who absolutely screamed with laughter. It's now a regular request. And the only other thing that gets that fantastic fun reaction from them as they're thrust back into their seats is when they operate the whoopee cushion and they all turn to blame each other. Now, my journeys do seem to go quicker these days. There's actually some fun back in my driving. I'm Dave.